Jerry York is the head hockey coach of BC's men's varsity hockey team. He has 37 seasons as a head coach, the last 16 of which have been at BC. Coach York has 814 wins, giving him the second most all-time wins of any college head coach. Known for his demand of discipline and decency, Coach York has earned the respect of players and coaches alike. He started in hockey as a player, playing for Boston College High School, and as a freshman at BC in 1962. John Snooks Kelly invited him as a walk-on to the freshman team, where he played center, and he was All-American his senior year. After serving in the Army Reserve, Coach York turned down law school to be a graduate assistant for Kelly, and he later became assistant coach. He was appointed the nation's youngest coach in 1972 at the age of 26. In the last 11 years, his teams have reached 8 Frozen Fours and played in 6 finals. And in 2001, he coached the Eagles in beating North Dakota 3-2 in overtime to give BC its first national title since 1949. Coach York is looking forward to playing an historic game this season when the Eagles take on BU at Fenway Park on January 8th. He was born and grew up literally a few miles away in Watertown. He is a cancer survivor, has been married for 40 years, has 2 grown children, and has recently been enjoying a new role as a proud grandfather as well. So, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Coach Jerry York.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You know, I thought I was going to get the shirt after we spoke, but it's all gone now, so someone's got to save something. I got to have the chocolate cake. You know, I'm really excited to be here. I'd probably feel a little more comfortable if I was 100 yards off to my left side here in the rink. But I've enjoyed talking to a lot of different groups on campus over the last number of years, and it's always, I think, a distinct pleasure to be asked. And this year, Karen and Rick came over and talked to me about possibility of speaking here. I wasn't answering their emails, and so they made a trip over and then got Father Penner to make a call. So generally during the season, I shut down, and it's all just hockey and 24/7, and we're preparing our team and trying to get ready for the next game. But you know, I owe an awful lot to BC, and like I said, I'm excited to be here. Now, what time do the Red Sox play tonight? Is it tonight's game? Or tomorrow? Thursday. All right. So, Matt, you have no excuse. You got to stay right through. Matt Lombardi's here. He's our captain. He's a senior at BC, and I'm surprised he's here. He's heard me speak so often every day, so you have to be a little punished. You want to put this on? How does it?
No, that's for the camera only.
That's the camera?
You on the podium.
Okay. I'm not a big mic guy, so he's going to have to keep me back here. So.
Gotcha. It's up to you.
But I would like to say, want to welcome you here tonight. I hope that you know, we'll touch on some topics. Some won't be of interest to you. Some hopefully will be. And maybe if you just one sentence or one thought that you get from me tonight, I'll feel very excited about that. So I'll try to talk for about 15, maybe to 20 minutes about a variety of subjects. I'll try to weave sports into the theme here. But I also want to try to, you know, how I view my Catholic faith and how I bring it into my everyday life. And so I think it'll be beneficial in some respects to you. I would like to tell you a little bit about my personal background because I think it all flows through here. I was one of 10 children. Now, if you can imagine now, my father had 6 children, and his wife died of polio. All right, he's probably in his late 30s. when he married my mother, and she had 4 children. But I was trying to picture one time, my mom told me about when she went to her mom and dad and said, geez, I'm going to get married, I'm going to marry Dr. York. I work with him at the St. Elizabeth's Hospital right here in Brighton. And she said, oh, that's great, you know, it'll be a terrific wedding for you, and they were all excited. And then she had to break to him that he has 6 children. Can you imagine now going into a marriage at the... And then we had, my mom had 4, I was one of the 4, so we had 10 children, ranging in age at one time from probably, you know, an infant to about 26, 27 years old. So I try to think back often of those meals that milks were spilt and waters were spilt. And my father was a doctor, and at that time the doctors had their offices on the first floor of the house. So we'll live on the second and third floor, but the office would be on the first floor, and as you can imagine, everybody knows where the doctor lives in those times. So the doorbell would be ringing, and you know, would be answering doors at all different hours, and guys that have cuts, or the guys that have you know, some ailment with them, and they just knock on the doctor's door. Now you can't find where the doctors live. So it was a really interesting upbringing for me. My dad had gone to Georgetown, and he got very friendly with all the Jesuits, you know, in his education. He stayed there for his medical school. And then when he came back to Boston, he became a Jesuit doctor for Boston College. And so we were brought up with that. Jesuits always over my house. That's the one thing I miss about at BC now. There's so few Jesuits compared with, like, I was going to school here. Probably of my 5, I was in the School of Business, probably at least 4 of my professors during the course of each year would be Jesuits. You know, whether it be teaching, you know, philosophy or theology or economics or calculus. So it was, and I love to see the Jesuits here, but I just wish there was more of them, because they've got a great influence here on my development. But so the Jesuits always come into my house, and so I was kind of programmed that I was going to go to BC High. You know, I wanted to go to Watertown High. I was right there, and all my friends were going there, and they put us on, you know, rapid transit into Harvard Square, and Harvard Square took another T across to Dorchester to go to high school. So we probably had 45 minutes just on the T each way to get to the high school. But it was a great experience, BC High, and then I just dreamed about, hey, I'd love to go to Boston College. And when I got the chance, I came here, and and I hope you all understand, it's a special, special place. You know, it's been for years and years. When I was going to school here, it was very special. There's a certain spirit on campus. And I hope you pick it up as you go through your, you know, each day here you're at BC. It's just something, I'm not sure if it's, you know, when you walk around campus, people say hello. It's just a good feeling here. I see so many universities as I travel that very rarely do you see the person at that university wearing the sweatshirt from that school. And here, it's always exciting to see BC, BC all the time. You all seem to see, that's not BC, though. North Carolina. But it's just kind of a reflection how proud we all are to be here, and I think it's something that you should really treasure. And when you graduate from here, you're going to be a very proud alumnus of the school. But it's just a great experience, and just appreciate every morning as you get up to come to school. I've got a few notes that I'll talk about, and I'll try to. They always say I talk too fast, so I've got to slow down a little bit. You know, Jesuit influence I talk about, but when I was at school here, I remember it was, and it just seems like yesterday, it's the week JFK died. That same week, I was in Fulton Hall, and I was in the library. I think I was in the library. I was probably having coffee at Lions, but it sounds better in the library. But someone came to me and said, hey, Father Lawler would like to see you. And Father Lawler was one of the deans in the School of Business. And I said, geez, you know, it's my freshman year. I know I've done fairly well in school, but maybe not. And I called in, and you know, you have moments in your life that just kind of stand out, and people probably have shared this with me. But I remember I sat down, and Father said, hey, your dad just died. And I was 18 years old as a freshman, and I was just devastated, you know. And but just the way he handled everything, you know, he brought me up to St. Mary's. He drove his car with me back to my house, and you know, you can picture yourself. And like I said, hope not many have gone through it, but you know, when you lose someone, your dad at that age, it's just devastating. And I thought that Father Lawler just stood out so much, how he handled everything, and so it just seems to be you're treated very well here in a lot of different respects. But that kind of really, and I became a close friend of Father Lawler as I went through the rest of my years here. But there's a great Jesuit influence, and you know, I just feel good about it. I took Father Monin to dinner we've tried a couple of times. I've taken Father Monin to dinner, and I really like to, you know, chat with people of that wealth of experience and knowledge. And hopefully you can get the same thing. I see Father McGowan's going to speak here, and you know, if you see Father Leahy or Father Penner or some of the priests on campus, go to your way to, you know, Father Woods is a great friend of mine, but go to your way to meet these people. I think you'll benefit from the experience. I think it's important to have a Catholic culture. You know, I feel very blessed that my parents kind of put me in that situation, and things happen. But for you to take the Catholic faith and put it into your everyday life, I think you have to establish a culture. You know, you have to. It's up to yourselves. How can I do this? Because you're going to face difficulties. You're going to face tremendous challenges, as you already have, and you will in the future here. All right, there'll be relationship challenges. There'll be, hey, the job market for the seniors now. The economy is such a straits now that it's going to be very difficult to get a job that you envision. You know, four or 5 years ago. Now it's really, really hard. So the Catholic faith is there to really help us in those areas. And I think you've got to. The words I think about are I'm in. So if you're going to establish a Catholic faith, I'm in. What does that mean? If I'm in, what does that mean to you?
Ready to take life by the horns and go.
I'm in. Yeah, it's a commitment of some type, isn't it? If you can kind of grasp that, hey, I'm in, and that's part of being a Catholic. I'm in. I'm in. I'm committed to being to establish a great Catholic identity, to live a life that's going to be daily with me. The other thing is, and I always pick up different things. I read a lot of books and stuff, but if you're going to train to be a strong, you know, physical person on weights, I know a lot of people use the Recplex here, the Rec Center. If you're going to build up your biceps, you're going to have to strengthen it. You're going to have to work on a repetitive motion all the time. So if you want to be strong, you're going to pick up a weight and you're going to work on it. If you're going to be a strong Catholic, you've got to think about being a strong Catholic. Your thought process has to be, you know, how can I be a better Catholic? What does it mean to be a Catholic? It just doesn't appear to you. So you got to, if I'm going to be strong as a person, I got to work on weights to build my body strength all the time. And if I'm going to be a strong Catholic and establish a real strong culture, then I got to work on being a good Catholic. Hey, whether it's as simple as trying to keep the commandments, or reading about Catholic faith or theology books. But you got to practice. You can't just be a good Catholic on Sundays, but it's got to be a daily situation. And that'll help you establish a Catholic culture. And I think that'll help you when you have to weather some storms. Hey, now there's some great things every day. You're going to experience, you know, great relationships. All right? You're going to have terrific grades sometimes, and you're going to feel, hey, the sky's the limit. This is a fantastic day. But like I said, there's going to be challenges that you're going to need that Catholic faith. At least I've always felt that way. I think it's important for us. You know, Father Penner has often talked to us about there's a birth date. And this is hard for you people to understand your age, all right? But there's a birth date, all right? But there's also a death date. You know, on the train, we never know when it's going to stop. So we know when the train started, all right? So that's your birth date. But, you know, when is it going to stop? When is your death date coming? And, you know, as you get older, and like I've gone through a number of decades, and I've had cancer, and so I kind of think about it a little bit more. When I was your age, I never thought of that. But you just absolutely don't know how long you're going to go from birth date to death date. So I say, let's get the thing right. Let's get it done right. Let's approach every day. let's establish our Catholic culture, and let's make sure we're doing the things properly. Because we know, I think we all understand, there's something after life here. And we want to get to that good spot. So if you get that train coming and you don't know when it's going to stop, hey, let's try to do things the right way here. All right? And I think we're set up in the Catholic faith with commandments and teaching, and we know what the right thing to do is. Hey, now you got to do the right thing. Matt, am I slowing down enough for you to listen? All right. You know, we've tried to do some things with our team, you know, and I think our mom and dads have their families, professors have their classrooms, you know, coaches have their players, you have your peer groups, you know, whether you're freshmen or sophomores or you're in different clubs, but you know, we try to bring in some speakers to our team, and you know, I'm going to try to talk to you about some of the speakers we've had and try to bring in Catholic faith to the speakers, all right? Now, they don't come in and, you know, say, hey, I'm going to talk about Catholic values here today, but they talk about values, and I think we can spin them a little bit here. We've had the heavyweight champion of the world in to speak, Johnny Ruiz, and as you can imagine, he came with a whole entourage of people. This was before Matt was here, I think. Were you here freshman year? It was before. But he had all the surrounding people with him, and he came in and he had the big belt, and he had his sidekicks. But he was a very soft-spoken person, and at that time he held the belt, and he was talking to us about the challenge. He was fighting a heavyweight fighter named Evander Holyfield. And he says, I was knocked down, and Holyfield was a huge, huge fighter. And Johnny Ruiz was a local kid, grew up in Chelsea. And he wasn't, I mean, he was big, but he wasn't Adonis, you know. But he said, I was knocked down, and I looked up and I said, if I want to accomplish something, I have to get up off the mat. And it's so much easier for me to stay down on the mat. I had my purse, I had my money, and I had to get up off the mat. Well, sometimes you're going to do the same thing. You're going to be hit by, you know, 1,000 things during your lifetime, car crashes you've been involved with, you've lost friends, maybe you lost brothers and sisters, maybe you're not going to, maybe your parents have gone through a divorce. I mean, things are going to happen to you over this lifespan, and I wish I could say everybody's going to leave and you know, have a terrific life as you go through, but there's going to be challenges, and I think when we bring someone like that in, we're talking about, hey, let's get up off the mat and let's rebound from different situations. Father Penn has talked to us about when he was in London, the MTA, I don't know what they call it, the transit system over in London. Every time it stops, they say, mind the gap. How many have been overseas and just mind the gap? I remember I was going to Czechoslovakia and coming off one of the escalators, it was the same thing, mind your gap. But he explained to us, so I think it was excellent, there's just like about 2 inches that when you come off the subway, you just got to step over. I mean, it's almost like, why even say it, but it's so small. And he took that with our team and our people saying that, you know, if you really want to be an excellent team, and we could carry it about, if you want to really be an excellent person, there's just small little things you have to get better at. And, you know, you can go into things in your life, you know, what can I get better at? It's only just a few inches, but if I mind the gap, I think about that, and I want to be a better person. Hey, again, it could be a better relationship with your roommate, with your mom and dad, hey, with relatives, just representing BC a little bit better. I've always liked the feeling I get when I walk up the stairs or through the campus, and, hey, people say hello. You know, so many schools, like I said, we go over all these schools because we travel on, their heads are down, and nobody says anything, they just walk by each other. It's like, hey, we don't like to be here. You know, all these, but at BC, I've noticed, for the most part, hey, people say hello to people, and all of a sudden you feel good about yourself. And I think mind the gap, you can think of small little things that you can do to become a better person and be a better Catholic. You know, maybe you go to Mass on a more daily basis, not just Sundays, you know, My wife and I make a point to try to go. We belong to Sacred Heart Parish in Watertown. That most days we go to the morning mass, and hey, it makes you feel good. We're trying to get a little bit better in our faith. We're minding the gap a little bit, and we're trying to, you know, maybe be better people for the people that live next door to us. They watch us, you know. So it sets standards, I think. But I like that what Father Penner talked about there. How many have read Jim Collins' book, Good to Great? Just show me your hands. Not many. Just, it's a good book, huh? A little dry, huh? Yeah. But Jim Collins is a Stanford professor, and he examines Fortune 500 companies over, say, a 15-year period. And he wanted to see why so many companies kept on coming back in the top section. You know, why Gillette was always back, or Esso, Exxon, why it was always back. And he went through a whole booklet, but we used it, and our team read the book. We have excerpts from it, because he came up with this, all the top executives, when they looked and tried to analyze, you know, the flow charts, the monthly charts, were always looking not at a mirror, saying, geez, I'm the best CEO in the country. I've done this. I deserve more money. They were looking through windows, and they were complimenting, what's your first name? Ben, for staying awake while I'm talking. You know, I can say, hey, Ben, that's really nice of you. You've done a terrific job here. You've had 2 coffees, and you're all set. You're hyped up. And or Matt, for coming down. You know, and the top executives, right through them, 100% of them, all were people that went through windows, so they're workers. They're the next level. They were always complimenting people. They weren't, and the people that failed, the companies that were there 1 year and then dropped off, were all, the CEOs were all driving big Cadillacs, and they were, hey, I want special service, and it's all about me. And I think that as we go through life here, I think we can accomplish a lot more if we have that same type of principle. If we look through, and, you know, I've had a terrific experience at BC because of, you know, this particular person, or you've done a great job with these professors, or my mom, dad for paying the tuition bills here. Let me tell you an interesting story. Now, tuition's what, $50,000 now, tuition room and board. I'm in Bowling Green, Midwest, and my children are growing up. I have 2 children that I thought both come to BC. I was excited about it coming. They applied, they were accepted, and they said, Dad, we're from a small town. Boston is, you know, they were from a town about 15,000 in northwest Ohio. They said, we can't go to, that's a big city. That's, they came out to visit some of my cousins, their cousins, and they were just kind of, so they went to Midwestern schools, and then I came to BC, and I said, geez, it's free tuition. We have a tuition remission program. You can come back here. Oh, we've got our friends, we've got our roommates, and now 7, 8 years later, they're both back in Boston working, and they love it. So I was trying to think all the money I could have saved and that. You know, focus is so important, and all of us, and I think I'm getting there, Matt. I'm not quite as multitasked as some of you guys, but, you know, right now it just seems like with the Catholic faith in mind that, you know, our focus is so, we're multitasking all the time. We're looking at 1,000 different things. Our focus is very wide and very thin. You know, and I think that Tiger Woods is a perfect example. When they talk about his focus, it's very, very narrow. You know, he focuses on one certain little aspect of golf, and it's very, very deep. It goes a mile deep. And I think with our Catholic faith and our experience at BC, a lot of us get, and myself included, we're wide and thin. You know, we're multitasking. We've got 1,000 things going through our mind. And when it's right here, right now, the focus we should have is hard for us. And I think if you can, one of the things you come away with, hey, when you're doing something, really try to focus and bring everything right here so it's a mile deep, all right? You're really deep into whether you're talking to or just a friend of yours, or you're involved with the classroom, and it's very, very narrow, your focus. And I remind myself all the time about that. But if we can do that with in our Catholic faith, I think it's important for us. You know, just kind of, hey, how can I be a better Catholic today? How can I represent my religion, my school, my family, you know, and just really be focused on that. You know, our team, we try to establish a culture where we help other people. You know, BC's been famous for man for others. That's one of our, I think, really, you know, we talk about ever to excel, but a man for others, and that means, you know, trying to help people. And I think we've gone to Children's Hospital with our team. We've gone to the Franciscan Hospital. We've gone to the Brighton Y. We try to do as much as we can, you know, given time and space, and I think that we all should do that. And I can't believe, like in the spring, when I see all the buses not heading toward Logan Airport in Bermuda, but they're going to the Appalachia, and I think BC does an unbelievable job. How many people have gone on the spring trips to help? Yeah, I'm just amazed. Way more than the campus going to South Bend, you know, for the football game. It's great to see that. And you should be complimented on that, and bring a friend. I think it's a great thing to do. But a man for others, think about that. You know, you got to help people. It's not just your immediate people, you know. But we're kind of we're very privileged, I think, to be here, and there's a lot of people that we can reach out to help with, and I think that's something we should do here. We have a prayer board at our dressing room that each week someone has a sick relative, or someone died, or someone's going through a difficult period, that we'll put a name up on the prayer board, and that's in our thoughts for that week. And I think Matt came up with the idea, actually, Matt, a few years ago. But I think that's important. And we had a mass. We have a face-off mass that we start a year with. I don't know if that's a blasphemy or not, but we have a mass at St. Mary's, and Father Todd Kenny, our new chaplain, says the mass. And we had all set for the mass and breakfast at the shade room. All the parents come, and it's kind of a nice day. And Father Appleyard was at the mass. How many know Father Appleyard? You know, he's pretty prominent priest here, Jesuit in BC, and he was on our prayer board. I had forgot Matt from last year, and he came to Mass and said, I'd like to serve the Mass, co-serve with Father Kenny, because I got a note from your captain last year, Brock Bradford, expressing, you know, our sympathy and our best wishes as he went through heart surgery. And so it touches people a lot. So sometimes you can just reach out and say, hey, we're thinking about you, or we're going through a tough time, whether you're battling a chronic disease or you've lost a loved one. I think it really helps to reach out like that. I think it works, Matt. What do you think?
It does. Definitely touches the people that you send a note to. They're very grateful. I love to know that they're in
And I think it's good for us too, because all of a sudden we're preparing for a game where someone stands up and says, hey, my friend just died in a motorcycle accident, and his brother's going through a really grief period. We'd like you to pray for him. So I think it's good for us to, I feel good when I hear that. And when Father Appleyard said that, it was kind of neat to, you know, in 2008, Dave forgot to mention that, you know, don't diss our 2008 team, you know, that's a pretty good club. But we had a chance to go to the White House, and one of the Red Sox personnel was talking to one of our staff people and said, you know, you really should visit Walter Reed when you go down to Washington. It's a great experience. The Red Sox went through it, except for Manny. I think Manny took a day off that day. But we went down to Walter Reed prior to going to the White House. And, you know, now the White House is, you know, I was, you know, in awe, and I mean, just the history and everything. But when I came back that night, I thought Walter Reed left more of an impression on me. And whether you're for the war, or, you know, mixed feelings in Afghanistan, or when we went through the Walter Reed, it's called the Warriors Unit. So it's not, they don't call it a hospital there, they call it the Warriors Ward. And these are all people that have gone through, you know, war injuries that were amazing and just kind of confront you when you walked in. And the nurses, it was a BC gal, and she talked to us about Now, don't be afraid to go up and ask. They want to talk about their injuries. And don't go up and just, they've got both legs blown off or they're missing 2 arms. Don't try to, you know, avoid the question. They want to know, they want to tell you what happened. And I remember, you know, Matt has experiences too, but I walked in, there was a young gal that, she had 2 children with her. She was probably late 20s. And she was missing both legs from the knees down. And so I said, geez, I got to ask. So, and she said, you know, my first week there, I ran across a IUD. I was driving and it blew up. But she says, Coach, I'm fine. You know, I appreciate the hat you gave us. I'm going back to Syracuse University and get my MBA, and I'm going to, you know, become a person specializing in estate planning. I wanted to get into finance, but I wanted my MBA first. And the courage they showed was incredible. They passed out a coin to some of us that, and there's like each warrior get one of these coins, but their slogan was going the distance and beyond. And I thought, geez, that'd be something special if we could do that. You know, we want to be a good Catholic, going the distance, but they say go the distance and beyond. So your charge, I think, now is to be the very best student you can be and represent BC the very best way you can, and just go the distance and go beyond that distance. So what do you like better, the White House or the Walter? Did you? It was kind of an amazing time, Matt, huh? Give us an one of your experiences there. I got to rest my voice. This is a long time to talk.
Well, it's just an eye-opening experience. You don't really experience that stuff every day. You walk in and you just kind of hear about the war and you see the news in the newspaper. But when you actually go in and see, someone like Coach was saying, missing their legs or an arm, and you talk to them and they're as happy as can be. They appreciate you visiting, and you just really kind of thrown back a bit by how positive their attitude is. It really makes you appreciate the things that you have every day that most of us take for granted, like our education here and our friends and family. And it just helps you to realize what things you need to be grateful for.
You know, I'd like to leave you with just one last thought. And I'll have to pick out some people that help me here. Oh, Sarah, I see you back there, huh? You think I get away from us. But Sarah, how long did it take you to decide what college to go to? The whole process, the college process, and you might be a bad gal to ask, but because your dad went to BC, but
probably like a couple months.
yeah, really looking at examining all the different, and you know, you're going to have decisions, all of you, about what job market, you know, what you like to do for a living now. You're going to spend a lot of time, like, are you thinking about what I'm going to do when I'm 30 or 40? I kind of have some thoughts, or mid-20s. And yeah, but you put a lot of thought into it. You start to think about it. And we spend so much time with decisions, and a lot of you might get married, might not get married, but as you go through, you're going to spend an awful lot of time, hey, is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? So a lot of your thoughts like that, and that's fine, but I'm saying your most important decisions you're going to make, all right, going to be 5-second decisions. You're going to have 5 seconds to make a decision. You know, and you can think of a number of topics that I could probably lead you to in that area, but hey, you're at a party and you're celebrating a big football win, hopefully against Virginia Tech. And someone all of a sudden comes up, they got street drugs, they got cocaine. Hey, why don't you just try it? You know, and I think it's right on the cusp. I mean, it's right here, it's on campus, it's all through Boston. You got 5 seconds to say, hey, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, you could be a situation with DUI, where you know your friend is not ready to get in the car and drive home. But you get 5 seconds to make that decision. He's taking the keys, he's going to leave. And you say, geez, you know, I'm at a party, he's going to go, it'll be all right, you know. Those are the decisions that are going to really affect the rest of your life. You know, so you can spend all your time on, you know, who I'm going to marry and, you know, what town I'm going to live in and do all this research, but be ready and be prepared for those quick decisions. And, you know, I think that's where growing up in an environment you're in should put you in a position to make correct decisions. And I know, hey, we don't all make the best decisions all the time, but, You know, there's decisions that are black and white that are going to affect you for the rest of your life, and just be ready for those. You know, I've run across so many people that, you know, a term paper, they passed in, they plagiarized. Hey, I was tired, I couldn't get it, and all of a sudden I got thrown out of school. I mean, it was a decision that was so quickly done. So again, spend hours and hours figuring what you'd like to be, take all your aptitude tests, and, you know, whether you want to go to graduate school or in law school or, you know, become a teacher or a professor, get your PhD. You know, spend a lot of time on that, but be ready for those other small decisions. And I'm tired, guys. This is a long night. But I'd like to open up to conversations. I told my wife, I said, geez, come on. It says conversation with Jerry York. She says, Jerry, 39 years we've been married. I've had a lot of conversations. I'm gonna stay home tonight. So it's interesting. I met my wife when she was here at BC. She was a student at BC, and at that time, if you can imagine this, now the gals could not go into arts and sciences or school of business. So she had two choices: School of Education or nursing. She wanted to be a teacher, so she's in the School of Education. So, but she's had a lot of conversations with me. So, but certainly I'm open to any questions. There was absolutely no dessert left. Look at it; it's just gone. I can't believe that. I asked you one favor now to save me a gone. All right. I'll stop at Dunkin' Donuts on the way back. But any thoughts that, if I can't answer, maybe someone else could step up and answer, and or any things you liked or didn't like about what I talked about. Again, I'm not going to be real deep and philosophical about Catholic faith, but I think, you know, I try to be really practical, and hey, this is how you live. You can talk all you want about. And actually, after the School of Business, I went back and got a master's degree in counseling education here, counseling psychology, and then went on for 30 more credits, because I thought it was going to be either law school or a guidance counselor, and you get more money if you get plus 30. I couldn't get into the PhD program, but I get master's plus 30. It's called a certificate of advance. But we had all these, you know, courses dealing with psychology and all these theories and everything, but hey, you get down to its brass tacks, you know, how do you live your daily life? And I try to keep it as simple and hear your choices and some of the stuff we talked about. So, but
with like the soldiers and stuff.
You're on TV now, so.
With the like soldiers and people you met at Walter Reed, what do you think it is that like makes them so happy? I mean, they've lost both legs. And,
Oh, I know, yeah.
Like, yeah, it seems like a lot of people. I mean, I know myself. Like, you get down about the smallest things, but what do you think it is that drives them to, I don't know, be happy about, you know, they're in a pretty tough situation?
You know, I'd just be guessing at it. But they were like, they wanted to go back to Iraq. I mean, a lot of them were, hey, I want to just get healthy and go back. I can do some other things. I've lost my left arm, but I can help in. They were just committed to a certain. They were warriors. They said that's what they were. Their focus was on being the very best soldier I can be, and it was amazing. It was like, but their inner strength. I don't know how they get it. You know, I envision, you know, 20 years down the line, you know, how this gal's going to be with both legs off, and you know. It's difficult, boy. I think Matt and I both felt, geez, you can almost gain courage from those people to see what they go through, you know. But it was, I'm not sure, but they had terrific spirit. I'm not going to take your question, Matt. I got you enough times. What do you got, Matt?
How do you maintain your positive attitude or your positive mantra when you learn that your father passed away, or you learn that you had cancer, lost a championship game?
Yeah. In order, the championship game wasn't as. I don't know. I just. I think your attitude. You know, it's, you know, you get up in the morning and, you know, I've seen so many people that have lousy attitudes and are complaining about everything that somewhere along the line I thought, I'm not going to be like that. And we all have friends and neighbors and people that woe is me. It's just, it's always the other person's. They have all the money. They have the cars. They have the whatever that I don't have. I just thought attitude is really important, and probably I've had mentors that I've watched and listened that have helped me in that regard. But it's tough. You know, I was crushed when my dad died. You know, he was my best friend, and it was hard. You know, cancer was, you know, made you feel, oh, wait a sec, it's not just everybody else that gets this. But there's always some positive things. You know, my mother became much stronger, and she raised a whole bunch of us. Going through cancer, I met people that devote their life to curing cancer, physicians and nurses and people when I went back for treatments that were inspiring to me to watch and listen to. And but I think attitude tells you a lot about yourself. I hope everybody, you know, feels that it's an important part of your daily life. I think it is, you know. You get out of bed and you got a lousy attitude, boy. It's raining out, I can't be good today. It's cold out, I can't be functioning today. I think it's got to be, maybe it's the Catholic faith in us, you know, culture. You know, one thing about, we talk about Catholics, but I coached at Clarkson College, I coached at Bowling Green, and I came back to BC and I had my first Jewish hockey player, and he ended up marrying my niece, Dave Heimovitz. So we're kind of wide open. You know, I don't think, probably half our team is Catholic, and but we have all kinds of denominations here, which when I was at school, it's almost 95% Catholic, but now we've really expanded, and I love Father Leahy. I think he's doing and Father Mona was my guy, you know, but I think he's done so much for the school, Father Mona, but Father Leahy in his tenure here has been absolutely terrific for us, so we've been blessed. I don't know how much longer we'll have Jesuits as presidents. I know Georgetown has a lay person. You know, it's just so hard to get so many Jesuits that want to do that, become a president of a college. But let's be very excited that we have them here. Hope I kept you awake here, guys. This is
kind of an unrelated question. It's kind of a hockey, but I'm just curious.
I felt a little more comfortable with those questions.
What's typically the last thing you say to your team before a big game?
You know, I'm not a rah-rah guy. You know, I think we got to prepare during the week and, you know, really be focused on, you know, this particular opponent and bring our A game the best we can to that. You know, and I think it builds up over the 4 years with us. You know, we want to represent BC. Our standards are very, very high. And so we want to play as well as we possibly can. But don't do win for the Gipper too much, you know. But what's my last words? I don't know. Varies a little bit.
It's a good night for hockey.
Yeah, I say that a lot, yeah, that's right, yeah. But I think we enjoy the people that come to the game. We think we have a great fan base here in all the sports. And I enjoy being part of, you know, hockey, basketball, women's field hockey, soccer. I like all the different sports, and I think it's great. I was at, like I said, Clarkson was a small school, and the only Division I sport was hockey. And at Bowling Green was the largest state university, but kind of hockey was the. I like having other coaches and other sports that are Division I, so it's kind of neat to be here. And we got a pretty good club this year. We're young in some of the vulnerable areas, defense and. But Matt and I were talking. It's kind of fun because we have 26 players on our team, and 19 are either freshmen or sophomores. So we're a lot of puppies, you know. But they're going to get better, and it's going to be an exciting year for us. A lot of enthusiasm. I like the BC shirts. I'm just going to answer BC shirt questions. I like that. I'm going to stay away from Carolinas. Yeah.
What do you hope? What do you hope that your players will take with them as they graduate from BC, both from playing on the hockey team or just from the school in general? Whether they go on to play in the NHL or go to law school or wherever they go.
Yeah, I often think about that, you know, because we're trying to. It's got to be more than W's and L's. We'd like them to get a really solid education that they can not fall back on, but be very, very proud of. You know, people say, geez, if I don't make pro hockey, I can always fall back on my education. I don't think that's, we're proud of our education at BC, and I think, you know, they learn a lot from the different, not just the classroom, but just being at BC. I think the student body is a terrific learning process for all of us, coaches, professors, but students to students. I think the peer groups here are outstanding. I think from hockey, I'd like them to be able to leave thinking, geez, Coach pushed me as hard as he possibly could. I got as strong and as good as I possibly could be in hockey, in this particular sport. But I also was treated with dignity and class, and you know, I'm proud to be a Boston College alumnus that happened to play hockey, and hopefully win some national titles on the way, huh?
You talked a lot about kind of educating the whole person and Jesuit values, which is great. Oftentimes in college athletics today, you see a lot of stories related to like academic ineligibility and athletes falling below certain levels. You know,
right.
What steps, you know, do you take as a coach to really prepare your athletes on a broader level? I know it's.
John Mahoney helps me with that. You know, he doesn't. I've been up some candidates he says no to. You know, so the admissions process kind of brings students here that should graduate, and if they don't graduate in 4 years, they're lazy or sometimes they get sidetracked somehow, and it's our responsibility to push that button. But the players that come through here should be able to handle our academics. And like you're well aware now, this is a pretty good peer group academically. When you're in class now, there's some outstanding students here, so we're pushed pretty hard to become, you know, the B is a hard B to get now. The A is a very, very hard A to get. And some of those priests that I took are gone, so it's hard to. But we've been good with that. We've kept eligibility with our kids, and we have our learning resources that help with tutoring. But for the most part, our kids are pretty good students coming in, you know. Colorado, huh? Hope you're a skier. That's the best chair in the house. How'd you get that chair? Nice soft chair like that, yeah. Hey, but I'd love you to come over to the rink and, you know, watch practice someday if you'd like, but support our team. And we have any pep band members here? Pep band's been terrific for us, and like I said, the student support at BC I think it's terrific. You know, and I applaud you for coming out and helping us, and hopefully our team represents a lot of the values that we talk about. A lot of good young guys in our club. I really like them. Free coffee, agape. Thanks a lot, guys.